useful.
Okay, it's running. So, yeah, just a couple slight adjustments. You're actually quite close to what I had in mind. Just gonna remove this part. It's not unnecessarily, just it's don't die. Okay,
Okay.
that's like as a Pos1, especially in a like here's it's important to make a
Yep.
distinction. I don't know. Do you watch any pro games?
Yes.
Okay, so it's very clear. Like it's very important to make this clear distinction between pro games and pub games. Like do not look at pro games as guidelines because
Yep.
their like carry play is quite different. Like yes, sometimes carries are sacrificed intentionally. Sometimes, you know, due to drafts, the actual Pos1 is not really the Pos1 and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I
it's,
got you.
all those
I got
things
you.
are only work if you're playing on a team, and if you're playing solo queue, it's just completely forget about them. So there's no situation in solo queue where like dying should be part of your plan because that basically means like I I remove my a part of my control over the outcome of the game and give it to a teammate,
Yeah.
and
I
that's not what
completely
you
get you.
want. Yeah, and then
I have a question about that actually, if you don't mind.
go ahead.
So I think you're gonna say this is part of what you're saying about pro games, but one thing I definitely notice about like pro level carry players and certainly like ultra top level pubs as well is that they'll group up much earlier than I would. Or, like they'll be more likely to defend a tower before they're really ready. You know what I mean? Like before they have like 3 items, a defensive item, or say that they'd like 90 minutes before BKB, they'd be more likely to try and defend mid or like be posturing ready to defend mid than I necessarily would be. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yes. So exactly, that is part of that. Now, the reason it works in pro games is because people have the coordination and the enemy team has the coordination to apply perfect pressure. So basically, it becomes like a if you don't, I will, right? Like if one carry doesn't join these early fights, even though
Yeah.
they're weak,
Okay.
the enemy carry
Yeah,
will,
got you.
and yeah,
And then your numbers advantage and you take objectives
yeah,
and map
and you
control.
can assume that there's gonna be like that's actually very important. Like the perfect execution is assumed, and only that actually
Yeah.
makes the even a weak carry like the difference is noticeable of them being there. And
Yeah.
honestly, even in
Got
high
you.
level pubs, I would argue that's not the case because like
Okay.
the players might individually be very good, but they're not a team, so they don't have that coordination,
Coordination. Yeah.
and it's just yeah, it's an unnecessary risk to
Okay.
play
That's good
like
to know.
that.
That's good to know.
So yeah, you're gonna see me in the replay. I'm gonna be telling you a lot like, oh, you should not join this fight. You should not do that. You should just farm,
Yeah.
right? And then the first one also, I was just that's kind of a rephrasing, but basically get farmed as fast as possible, right?
Okay.
It's not avoid being slow. No, it's be as fast as possible, right? That's your goal.
Yeah. That's right.
And
That's the goal. Okay.
and this is very again like I write this also to doesn't matter like if you're divine or like some Archon carry players, it's whatever. But and everybody's like yeah, it's, like makes sense. It's very simple. But then again we
It's
look
simple
at
on
the
paper, but you
game.
don't do it.
Yeah, we look at the game and it's not
It's like, why
actually
are you doing
happening.
this?
Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely
every
get that.
every single decision you make needs to like help you accomplish this.
Yep.
And if it doesn't, it's a bad decision. Like simple as
Yep.
that. All right, so that's what we're
Yep.
gonna like look for and call out. Yeah, just question for item build choices.
I like the Socratic method, like asking questions. It's a good way to like force me to think about it. It's good.
Yeah. All right. So with this in mind, the reason like I kind of took this segue here with this in mind, and with this for the item build. Now let's talk about what you asked about starting items.
Okay.
Now think about again what you said earlier. Like your ideal laning stage, like your goal is this. Your ideal laning stage in first few minutes is get essentially mass commands as fast as possible before heading into the jungle, and then with it head into the jungle and farm as fast as possible.
Well,
Right.
okay. Ideally, it would be farm the waves and the jungle. That's like the ideal, right? Like I want to be taking all the waves in my lane, like before 10 minutes, let's say, all the waves in my lane plus both of the both of the near jungle camps. That would be like ideal, I think, for like laning stage.
Okay, so for the first 10 minutes for the laning stage. Okay, why 10 minutes?
Because I feel that once I can farm the triangle, once I can farm ancients, it's probably a waste for me not to be doing that because otherwise that farm's not going to be taken on our side of the map. Number one, and number two, decent players are not going to just. I don't think decent players are going to let me sit in my safe lane and not pressure that objective. And I don't really want to be engaged in a 5v5 10 to 15 minutes in.
Okay. So essentially, you're saying like at the 10-minute mark, you can farm ancients, and enemies are likely to pressure your tier 1 on the safe lane. That's why you don't want to be there anymore.
It depends, right? But in terms of like what my ideal would be farming the jungle when my safe lane uncontested, and I just get mega fat. But realistically, that's unlikely to be what good players are going to let you do, right? I mean, if I was not, I don't play Smurfs, but if I was playing like a low-rated game and I could do whatever I wanted, I would just farm. Like for the first 10 minutes, I'd farm the jungle near the safe lane and the safe lane all waves, and just take all of it uncontested, I guess.
Okay, so yeah, if it's a low game or if it's a bot game or an empty lobby or whatever, you're basically saying you're gonna stick to the safe lane and the 2 camps.
Yeah, at least at the beginning.
Okay, well, I disagree with that because as a Sven, like it depends on the hero, but as a Sven with Mask of Madness and like level 3 cleave or more, I think you cleared them too fast, man. Like you get the wave, you get the camps, you get the
that's
wave,
probably true.
and you have to wait like 20 seconds for the camps spawn again.
It's inefficient.
So that's not the fastest way to farm. Now you hinted at ancients. You can again take them quite early as Sven, but for it to be worth it, you gotta stack him a couple times.
Yeah.
So my point is, I don't. You should not be aiming to stay in the lane, and that's why I asked you like why 10 minutes, right? So like what makes you go for 10 minutes? Like,
okay, well I get. I think what's throwing me a bit is like, what's the ideal like? Because ideally, I'm not pressured, right? I mean, the usual game plan is when can I go out and like explode my farm? Like when can I get all the jungle farm, the ancients farm, and that's pretty much as you said, level 3 cleave plus not even mom necessarily, just the lifesteal, but mom obviously is much better. Like either when it's good for me to go because I can go off and take other jungle creeps, or I'm forced out because they have a dangerous off lane, which is quite likely most of the time. You go, it's like a Slardar or a Doom or something that you can't lane against. It's just not worth it.
All right. But if I look at 10 minutes here, you're level 7 with the Mom finished and the Bracer and presumably some extra gold because... Oh, I guess you get the gloves just as, like a couple seconds later, yeah.
I mean, I played...
So,
yeah,
is this...
a bad game, but...
Is this... No, fair enough, but is this what you... I mean, if this was a bad... If normally it's faster, then my point even more so. Is this the moment where it becomes worth it for you to farm the jungle?
No, earlier than this. Much earlier than this.
It's definitely earlier than this.
All I need is mom and level 3 and level 5. I mean, you could probably do it before that if you want to, but I guess the ideal time is level 5.
Okay, so the point is like, can you think of something like if you had like pick in a minute, like what are some other factors we consider with this, like how to choose this time when to leave the lane?
If you've got lots of stacks.
But that's unlikely, right? I mean, stacks sure, but it's unlikely you have stacks.
Okay, so other things that make me leave the lane, you're saying?
Yeah, something like inherent about the game. Like we're looking at this, right? We're talking about a window, let's say from 5 to 15 minutes. What happens from 5 to 15 minutes? Something that you
bounties,
can...
Bounties, nighttime, which can impact if they've got particularly night vision based heroes. What else
There's a more simple one that you're kind of forgetting.
Can you rephrase the question? Let me see if I can get it.
What happens from 5 to 15 minutes, somewhere there, that can like influence your decision of when to leave the lane and farm jungle?
Enemies pressuring my tower, or a tower. Enemies pressuring towers. Period.
Yes, that's definitely part of it. But that's not a specific timing, right? That's over here. I'm kind of giving it away because like that again depends on the game. But there's something that's the same every game.
Specific timing. Catapult waves. Bounties. I'm missing it, I think.
It's alright. I mean, it's skip your mind. When I tell you, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, of course. But neutral items, man. 7 minutes. Neutral items.
Oh, okay. That's a good... I wouldn't actually have thought about that necessarily.
And that's very relevant because, of course, not all neutral items help. Like some don't help at all. Some are okay. And then you have Iron Talon, which is like the dream.
Yeah, which is like absolutely crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, but just for the chance of getting an Iron Talon, it's that's alone is enough. And even if it's like a fucking brand, like the tree, right?
What the
tree, the jelly, the shovel, etc. Like so, they start appearing at 7 minutes, and
that's a really good point.
It's a free item, right? So this is a specific timing in the game that you gotta think about. Even if the lane is going amazing, by 7 minutes, if you're not hitting jungle camps, then you're missing out on these neutral items. And why would you, right?
That's a great point. Yeah, I would not have thought about that actually. And it seems obvious, but I wouldn't have. Like I'd already be in the jungle and not thinking about that as a reason to do it. I think about it later in the game, like 37. I'm like, right, let's go and get the neutrals, and obviously the tier 5 neutral items are super impactful. But that's a really good point.
It matters a lot here though, because like again, this Iron Talon is like a free.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Especially for Sven, maybe it's not the biggest deal, but some heroes that are slower, like PA maybe, like it's a very big deal. Like getting the your Battle Fury, for example, faster, etc.
Also in pubs, you want to get your. I mean, it's not really a problem at this level, I guess, but you want to get your pick of the neutral items. Like you don't want.
Oh, that too.
A mid to take the Iron Talon, for example. Most of the time.
Yeah, that too. So okay. So basically, like should always be leaning towards doing it, going to the jungle earlier rather than later. Like most people go too late. Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you can, but if you're playing Sven, then obviously you can.
Yeah, obviously in Sven you can. Yeah.
And with that in mind, also, what do you think about your starting items in that case? Because you said you bought this bracer to trade with, and let's see how many. Like you get it at 240, and if you're planning to leave the lane by 7 minutes, do you think it's worth having a bracer for like 4 minutes?
That's a good question. Did it save me? That's a good question. Are there times when it would have saved my life, other items wouldn't have saved my life? That's a good question. I mean, there wasn't that much trading going on, because the lane didn't really go the way I thought it should be played. I thought that this is a lane that we can actually win.
Now, another key concept here is, and I'm going to talk a bit about bracers. Now, bracers suck in general. I'm going to explain why. Like, what you have to keep in mind here with this inventory we're seeing is you have 3 empty slots, right? This is important.
I see.
Okay, now what's the difference between a bracer and circlet plus gauntlet? Okay.
A little bit of HP regen, not much, and like a little bit of damage.
Okay, first of all, the HP regen, you have to realize just how little this is a bait.
I mean, it is nothing.
Everybody like fucking entire Dota player base gets full buys. It's just because it says HP regen doesn't mean it's actually irrelevant. Like you basically get that much from the 5 strength. It's half a ring of regen, okay, compared to Talisman, which is a full mask, all right? 0.6, 0.6. This is also 75, so it's absolutely worthless. And 3 damage, right? For 210 gold, like it's a scam, right? It's really bad.
Okay.
What the only other thing you're getting out of this is combining 2 items into 1 slot, right? Which
isn't really relevant at this point in the game.
Matter when you have empty slots. Yeah. So that's the comparison I like to make. If you want strength, if you want to tank up, etc., if you want damage as a strength or whatever, 3 gauntlets are still cheaper than a bracer, and they give you more damage and more HP. All right. Still, as a safety farmer, I don't think you should be buying it in the first place. But as a strength carry, what would actually tank you up more is a raid band, and it also gives you more damage.
Yeah, the armor.
In the long run.
Yeah.
Gives a bunch of armor and attack speed, right? It makes a lot more sense for a farming hero like Sven.
Okay, I can definitely see why Bracer is bad, but why do you think high-level players would buy Bracer on Sven in that case, in the safe lane? Like, when would you do that? Is it ever a good idea, or do you think it's just like a bit of a bait? Because I'm seeing quite a lot of high-level players.
I see a lot of people buying Bracers. I actually made a post about that as well. Because even this,
I didn't see that.
Even like this belt of strength, right? It's still cheaper. It gives more strength, and you can actually turn it into useful stuff. And it's like 2 damage less. I think first of all, it's a kind of habit, because Bracer used to be the best out of these 3 when you get magic resistance, and now it's the worst. So people are still kind of used to that, and also.
Okay.
It's still this thing of like, have to be as strong as possible at all times, and sacrifice economy, because if you lose a fight, enemy team is a pro team that's going to punish that, which is definitely not the case in your games. Even if you screw up,
I see.
You're not going to get punished.
Squeeze the value out that you can, so because you're going to be in those earlier engagements, but unlikely to be that in this.
Yeah, that's why, for example, same argument for Magic Wand, right? Like a lot of carries in pro games buy Magic Wand because they're planning to fight, and buying Magic Wand and just AFK jungling is absolute waste of money.
Absolute waste of gold, yeah.
So
what do you think about getting a stick in this lane though, given the spam of spells they're going to do? Like just a casual stick, and that can use that to use my Stormhammer a bit more. What do you think about that?
Who's spamming spells? Weaver, Bane?
Weaver, Bane. Weaver especially.
Well, they're not That's the thing. That's another interesting thing.
Okay.
Like because
Okay.
we do the math here now.
Okay.
If you want, did you end up buying one or not?
No, I didn't. I didn't buy
Okay,
it.
so we can. But
Because I went Bracer and I knew I was going to be jungling soon, and I wasn't going to waste gold on both of those things, and I went Bracer, which I can see now is not the best choice.
I actually did this with a couple of students. We just went through the whole lane stage and checked how many charges they actually got now. First of all, you have to be aware of like how many charges do you need to get for this stick purchase to be worth it. First of all, like it gives 15 mana and health, but we know that every single hero has way more health than mana. So essentially,
it's a mana item.
It's a mana item, yes. Second, it costs 200 gold, right? That's more than Salve plus Mango. So realistically, for it to be worth it, you want to get somewhere about 15 to 20 charges, right? Within a reasonable time frame, and only after that point, every charge you get after that starts becoming like, in the favor of stick and not Salve and Mango. Because there is also not on demand, right? And realistically, the only lanes that's gonna happen are
it's like Bat and PA and things that are really spamming.
Bristleback, Bristleback, Batrider, Poison, SD, that kind of stuff, But not like I've heard all kinds of crazy like I've heard it's about Legion, right? Like Legion spams a lot. Like really, man, like 15 seconds, like no. And don't forget, like you don't get the charge if they're out of vision, right? It's It's not.
Yeah, I know about that.
Even on heroes that are like some of the best heroes to carry a wand, like let's say Timbersaw, Necro, etc. Even on them, you don't have to necessarily buy it during the laning stage, right? You can just buy it afterwards.
I do buy it later sometimes in some situations. Maybe in that case, to play lane, I thought the way it should be played, the better choice really would have been. I mean, I didn't do that at all, right? But maybe the better choice would have been just a bit more regen, particularly mangoes, so I can spam the Stormhammer a bit more. Because I feel like we have really good kill threat on the Weaver if we play properly, which we didn't.
But so how does killing the Weaver
help us
to the Google Doc? Killing the Weaver, which of these does it actually help?
Okay, I feel like if the Weaver's dead, they can't contest me, and I get everything in the lane. Or not even dead. I don't care about him dying. I care about him not feeling confident to come at me.
But that's a very big difference, though, because
that is a big difference. Yes.
Yes, if you make him low, he's not gonna contest you because he's scared.
Yeah, that's really.
But if you kill him, not only did you spend a bunch of mana, it comes back full HP, full mana, and actually you're hurting your goals here by like itemizing to kill him. And the other way you can visualize this is like every lane has two extreme ends that like two extreme ways that it can go in, right? On the one extreme end, we have a lane where it's absolutely passive, like nobody tries to do anything, just trading farm. Who wins?
Us.
Yeah, you win. Sure. You're the carry. You're Sven. Like that's what you want. Actually, that's your ideal lane. And on the other hand, you have what? Just
Bloodbath, which is good for them,
constantly spamming Salves and Mangoes, fighting each other, maxing nukes, right? And that's not what you want. That's when the Weaver wins, or Weaver's odd case, but like the offlaner wins, right? Because you're falling behind. And if you think of buying a bunch of Mangoes, like towards which end are you working?
I see what you mean.
Right? It doesn't really make sense that way. So also,
would you? So go ahead.
And last moment, I would say like just specifically about the Ring of Regen. I don't think it's a good idea on Sven because first of all, you have naturally high regen because of your strength hero. And also your HP pool is pretty big, and you have your armor is actually okay for a strength hero, but still like it makes a lot more sense on heroes like PA, Spectre, AM to get Ring of Regen because they have more armor, less HP. On Sven, I would go, if you want a regen heavy build, you could just go for like 6 tangos and a bunch of branches, right? And then your last tangos, you start eating branches, and you also end up with like, empty slots. And it's cheap.
So just super efficient, lots of regen heavy.
Yeah, regen heavy, stat heavy, right? Yeah.
That's interesting.
So
I often consider like Ring of Armor. But I mean, obviously Weaver would kind of bait you to that a little bit, but I didn't think it was necessarily going to be worth it here. But I did consider it.
Yeah, some lanes I think it can be worth it. Again, maybe against like a Bristleback.
Or like a Nature's Prophet or something.
Nature's Prophet. Yeah, that's a very good example. Yeah, it would be definitely good against him. So I was gonna fast forward through here.
Yeah. This is I mean, I'm not going to say my lane mechanics is great, but that's pretty straightforward, I guess.
Gonna see if, or basically just see if anything unusual
That was a waste
happens.
of time. That was definitely a waste of time. No, that happened because I didn't check. I didn't check that the Bane had wind base. That was why that situation happened.
It's chasing bait. Actually, so this is actually an example of what we just talked about, right? Like you just
But, okay, so even if he had, okay, I see. Even if he didn't have wind lace, it'd be a waste of time because he comes out at full health and mana and harasses me. So
exactly right. And but we just established that, and you're like, yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
but then you do it anyway, right? In the game.
And I do it. Yeah.
And it's not just you, right?
It's already happened, but yeah, I get you.
It's not just you. It's
It must be frustrating as a coach because students just agree with you and then just do the opposite. Like, I definitely get that.
no, but it's like no, it's not frustrating. It's how the game works, right? I mean, I felt it as well.
Yeah.
It's because when you're in the game, right? Like that's what makes the game
very hard to
cool.
think about everything at once. That's why.
Yeah, it engages you
hard.
so much. Like it's
Yeah.
you can't help but like play according to feeling and stuff and emotions and forget a bit about what you're planning. So
Okay, let me ask this then. So, I get what you're saying, especially when the opponents are kind of at your level or better. Like, it's not going to work. But the absolute ideal situation is you crush the lane despite being a carry, and then you can free farm, and they're useless, right? Is that not fair?
I mean personally, like
Or is that just never going to happen? So it's not worth thinking about.
it's no, it can happen, but it's like especially like you gotta think what the game is. Like if you're playing, like if you're playing a tournament and your goal is to win money, that's different, right? Then why not try it? But
that's not my goal.
that's your
Don't worry
yeah.
about
Your
that.
goal is to get better, right? So I can tell you like because a lot of I also do a lot of like reverse life coaching. I know some people think like smurfing is the worst thing in the planet.
No. I think it's. I don't have a problem with smurfing, and I actually really enjoyed some of the things you've done on Smurfs. Like I think you did a great job with that. You did a storm one, for example. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. So and that's a perfect example. In those games, I would never do that because it doesn't teach. I mean, obviously because also like for other people, but even if I'm playing solo, like it doesn't teach me anything, right? To know that okay, if my player is worse than me, I can outplay him and like win using suboptimal tactics that aren't gonna work.
That's a good way of putting it.
Like, what does that teach me? Like, that doesn't make me feel better or anything. Doesn't help me learn. All right. So in those games, I try really hard. Even if I'm on my own, I try to win
properly
in a way that will like I can win also against better players. Right. I don't abuse the fact that like they don't understand the matchup, so they are like feeding me or something, or they think they can win the man fight and then I kill them. Like, no, that's not part of the plan.
Yeah.
Don't have to kill them to win.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's good. That's a good way of putting it.
And there's outplays like that. That's why I always say like mechanical outplays don't feel good because you know that this is not something you can reliably do.
Yeah. And that's what that's a really good way of putting it. It's the opposite of my goals as well, actually.
It is, yeah. But if you outplay someone
no mechanical skill, I need to do the reliable play.
Exactly, and an example of like reliable outplay is like the classic, like you push this tower, you force some TPs, you TP top, and you get a free tower. Right? Doesn't matter if the enemy is 15k MR or whatever. Like if their TP is on cooldown, they cannot get to the other side of the map. That's it.
Yep, got you.
And those outplays actually feel good.
Question: my skill build here, and I know what you're probably going to say, which is what could you do with this skill that you could have done without it?
Yeah.
On the 2 points in the Stormhammer, thinking there is gives me more kill threat on Weaver, which I now think is, based on what we've discussed, the wrong choice. So would you therefore have just held the skill point? We'll talk about that in a second. Would you therefore hold the skill point and just go max and cleave in this situation, you think?
I mean, that's standard. I think it depends what your reasoning is for... like a good reason to max Stormhammer would be potentially for range creep securing, right? It's slightly more like... 110 is already quite reliable.
Oh, okay.
But if the enemies are really good, we both have high base damage, which is kind of the case, 67 and 70.
Yeah. That's a good point.
They could potentially deny it before your like level 1 Stormhammer reaches. So this one makes it slightly more reliable. But
I don't really have that problem on Sven because he's great high base damage and against 2 range. But in some lanes, I certainly would have that problem. So that's a good point.
Yeah. So then I would do it for that reason. But if it's to be able to like have higher kill chance, like no, that's a bad reason. Also,
that's good. No, be honest. That's good. Okay.
Also with the cleave, so you're holding the skill points.
It's gonna push.
Okay. Why is it bad to push?
Well, it's good in certain situations, but it's bad at this point to push because I can't jungle very easily. So I want the lane to be near my tower so that I can contest the lane until I'm ready to properly jungle, which is level 4, level 5 really. So, well, I guess I got my lifesteal item now, so I probably could, and I would in some situations, go for the cleave now and start pushing the lane so I can start taking the jungle at the same time. Okay, a lot of words there.
If you the thing is, if you push, that allows you to pull, right? That's like the standard way of winning lanes, and it's actually a pretty big misconception people still have. Like, lane needs to be close to my tower. Not really, and also
That's a good point.
A second point is that, especially with the cleave here, it's a very useful harassing tool, right? It's kind of like TA side blades, right? So I would say like you shouldn't be afraid of pushing the lane. Like it's a good thing, and also you're pushing it here regardless, right? Even without the cleave, right? The wave is pushed, and right now, like let's pause here. Full creep wave with the catapult. You have like not even barely like 2 creeps. These are all both almost dead.
Yep.
You're like half health, no regen. CM has no spells. Why did he not skill the aura? That's weird.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That's
when I watched the replay.
Horrible build. Yeah. Anyway, like now you guys got to be careful, and like these denies are super greedy because
because that
super out of position.
Bad,
like,
yeah. I see that.
If they play this properly, they have decent shot of killing you here. Like with Nightmare, get the bugs going, kill this range creep. You're tanking the full wave with minus armor and everything. Like,
yep, I should be dead there. They don't execute properly.
Yeah. So basically, you do wanna push the wave, and then you all wanna pull afterwards, right? And
that's a good point. Yeah.
Here's the other thing, like just because the wave, like right now it's at the quote unquote safest spot, right? But they still manage to dive you here, right? Because you're half HP. So like that's actually what matters a lot more than where the wave is. Yeah. And also the amount of creeps. Yeah, here just go to fight him. Not sure why. Stun. You should just stun the range creep.
On the range, yeah. It's so obvious in retrospect. I don't know what the hell I was thinking there. On the pulling thing, that's a really good point. That's like my favorite way to play the lane reliably. Is I'll push it like on Spectre is a good example because it's a really weak laner. I'll push the wave naturally as like my go-to thing, and then have the support pull because then I get more XP and I kind of break up the kind of 2v2 situation that I don't want to get engaged in.
Yeah, is that the same case with Sven though? And it's even easier to push because you have cleave, right?
Yeah, I see.
But you're just like, oh, Sven is strong, so I gotta fight them? Like, no, you don't have to fight them.
Yeah, this is just a misconception, yeah. I thought I didn't need to... Like, if they had heroes that I definitely couldn't kill, I know this is the wrong way of thinking. If they had like a Slardar, Lina or something, where it's like super dangerous lane, right? I wouldn't even be entertaining this. I'd be, playing more defensively, pushing it with the cleave and just kind of, farming, which is the reliable thing to do. So I should do that against this too.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you're talking about the matchup, which, okay, obviously you should be thinking about the matchup, but at the end of the day, like, you're still also counting on your teammate to execute properly, right?
That's a good point.
The right build. Like, the other day I was coaching a guy, and, like, he had this Undying who... I guess he hadn't played Undying in a while and just completely skipped Soul Rip, right? Or like he got level 1. And he was maxing Tombstone. And he's like, yeah, this is a lane we should crush, but then my guy didn't skill Soul Rip, so like we were weak.
You have to adjust to that. Yeah.
Yeah, but not adjust, but that's you have to expect that. You have to assume no part of your plan should involve like, yeah, my teammate is gonna do this and that, and like because if they don't, what, you just gonna tank the loss? Like, no.
Which is that's true even at like games in your bracket?
Because skill is not the only thing that like determines this. Like, what if the guy could be like the best Undying in Europe and he's just so bored of that build that he decided to try a different build, right?
Okay.
Or he could be back from a 6-month break, or he didn't read the patch notes, whatever. Like, it can be so many reasons. Like, just why factor that into your plan, right?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Makes perfect sense.
You're trying to come up with a plan that like has the least possible things that can go wrong. There's enough things that can go wrong even if it doesn't involve your teammates. So
okay, this is good. So at this point I should already be jungling and I should already have more cleave.
Yeah, I guess. One more like kind of rule that kind of number wise that you can work with. Now a lot of people, like everybody knows, lane creeps give more gold than jungle creeps, right?
Yeah.
But that is assuming you're actually getting all of them, right? So a good marker for this is, let's see, let me just go place one of these. If you're not getting at least 8 creeps per minute, right? There's 8 per minute, so if you're not getting at least 6 of them, you would get more gold from the jungle, right? In this case, 7 minutes, you have 28, so you're actually getting 4 out of 8, right? And if you're getting only half of them, then The lane does not
Jungle.
give you more gold than the jungle, right? Also, a second part of to this, like,
Yep.
if you're not getting at least 6, what is the reason for that? Is the reason that you forgot how to last hit? No. What is the reason that you're not getting at least 6?
The fact that I'm being contested.
You're being contested, exactly. And if you're being contested to the point you can't farm, it probably means there's also risk of you dying, right? Because if there's no risk of you dying, how are you being contested, right?
Yeah.
And if there's risk of you dying, all the more reason to leave the lane and go
there.
jungle. Exactly. And yeah, you did actually die once already. Like,
So, okay.
so this game is a good example of that, yeah.
That's a pointless stun on the Weaver there, didn't do anything. So I should really have already left. Okay, let's pause for a second. Let's assume I've left the jungle. In this situation, the hard camp, unless the lane is super pushed, the hard camp there is greedy, I think, to take, and probably very risky, even if it is pushed. So, am I right that I should, in terms of where to jungle, I should be going to this camp here, the easy camp, and then jungling my way to the triangle?
Exactly,
That's what I think I should be doing.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
If you can take the hard camp, you take it. If you can't, you can't, right? Like, it's whatever.
Would you agree it's too greedy?
I mean,
probably this late. It probably is too
here
greedy.
for sure. Like, CM is dead.
Yeah.
They're both. I mean, the guy literally just walked up to you. They're about to hit 6.
Okay.
It's definitely too greedy.
Okay.
But normally, like, ideally, of course, you're able to push the wave and then you
Push
take
that
it.
and then just take it on the way. Yeah.
Okay, that's not an Iron Talon. Feels bad. Two out of 4 items that don't help you jungle. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, Ocean Art is decent. Some stats, yeah. Okay, take a bunch of creeps. So see, now is actually the moment that you... Okay, that you do end up getting it. Now is actually the moment that you properly start jungling.
Yep.
Make some stacks, very nice. So, I mean, your actual farming mechanics are yeah, like, are fine.
Average.
No, not average. I don't see any mistakes. Like, you're stacking, you're, you know, hitting them properly with the cleave. Like, there's not... this is the case with
what you said earlier. I know what to do, but I don't always do it.
Yeah, this is the case with almost everybody. Like, when they... I've almost never found somebody that, like, is, like, spending all their time farming, but is, like, so bad at it that it doesn't work out, right? Like, that's pretty much never the case. Yeah. Like, everybody knows how to farm. It's just...
better, though.
They do other shit, right?
Yeah.
And like here, you ditch the jungling to go gank an invoker.
No, I don't want to kill him. That's not the thinking here. The thinking here is there's a catapult wave and no one else is defending it, and that's bad. But I saying out loud, I know why I shouldn't be here. It's not a good use of my time. I should probably be triangle right now. Probably stacking the ancients and farming that.
Yeah, simple. Look at the 3 rules. Does this help? No, in fact, it goes against all of them. It's
okay. I mean, I can see why it's the wrong decision, but I would say it helps, right? Because giving them free tower pressure as a team is bad for me, because that means that area of the jungle is soon going to be locked away from me. Not that I'm going to be there probably anyway, but like that tower falling is bad for our team, right?
It is bad for the team, but think about it this way: like you're saying, like, if a tower falls, I'm like potentially I'm not going to be able to farm some places in the future.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to farm now. To potentially prevent
I know
that.
It's wrong.
Right?
I'm talking through like the rationale I had, and I can see now why it's wrong.
Especially the safe lane. Like, I don't know, people have this like idea like, oh, I heard this a lot about the safe lane. Like, I'm the carry. I played on the safe lane, therefore I need to protect the safe lane tower. Like, fuck no, everybody needs to protect it. Except you.
I'm not a good hero. I'm not a good hero for that. I don't think. I mean, right, if there's a Timbersaw maybe. I'm not a good hero for that.
Same for mid though. Same for mid. Like.
Yeah. Okay. It's not my job to be here, and it's wasting my time, and it's just delaying my timings. I can see this. I should have been in the triangle there, stacking ancients, farming that twice with my ult. That's what I should have been doing there.
Yep.
I think.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't necessarily even need your ult. Ancients thing, it's kind of. I mean, farming as 2-stack is fine. In this case, I would say it's okay. Not really missing out on anything, but just be aware, like. Just because you stacked them, it doesn't mean you have to farm them, right? At that moment.
What would I be doing instead?
For example, in Radiant, it's kind of difficult to stack them to the left. Actually, you can stack them upwards. Top lane is taken. Yeah. The point is, you want to use the movement of the stacking to move on to the next thing, like a different camp, different lane, etc. Dire is a perfect example, because very often what happens is like, you know, as you're coming here, you're stacking the ancients, mid is some off. Mid. Yeah, like, as you're walking away to stack, you take this camp, then you walk mid. Yeah. Then you go back for this camp, then you stack again, then you walk bottom, right? And then later, you take them when there's nothing else useful to do, basically.
Hang on a sec, pause for a second.
Yeah.
So, Okay, so I've just taken the easy camp, right? The triangle is farmed, so there's no farm there for 30 seconds. So my choices are, I think, go to the where your cursor was there. So go for the jungle camps nearest to our tier 2 mids, or go top. So I'd rather go top, but LC is already taking that farm.
Yeah,
So
there's no farm there. Just run.
I should be going to our jungle. Yeah.
Run to the nearest farm, right? Yeah, but I would not go to this one because it's too even if it fills up. I'll take this and then go back to the triangle.
My question is, okay, I think you probably just answered that. My question is, should I be going to like? I think the best place for me to be farming right now is nearer the jungle camp by our tier 1 top. The one that
this one.
No, the one above that.
Ah, this one. Yeah,
this one. That's where I feel like it'd be that's my ideal, because then I can get the top waves, that camp, and then go back to triangle again for the next minute. That's like where I want to be, because LC is there. Like, I don't want to do that.
Sure. Yeah, it's not so much. How to say, like, LC being there is not the reason. The actual reason is what? Enemies, right? You don't want to be near enemies. And the thing is, if LC is there and you go there, chances are enemies are gonna show up. Also.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why, like, not necessarily the Legion being the problem there. Okay. But yeah, you're right. You don't want to be engaging with enemies, so that's why you can't go for that. But the moment you see this, and this is actually a good example of what I talked about earlier. Yeah, the moment you see your team gathering mid, and by the way, like the quicker you recognize this, that's actually a big part of what makes you better.
Yeah.
If you have 3 allies gathered mid, chances are enemies are gonna be mid soon as well. Yeah, now's the time to push the wave. Exactly.
Okay, here's a question. Right, that's a good. I think I know the answer, but pause for a second. I'm sure the answer is push. I mean, okay, in that situation, I have 2 choices: go to the wave there and push it as soon as I see the team doing that, or stack the ancients. And stacking the ancients might be a bit more golden XP, maybe, but pushing I feel is a better choice, because that's gonna reduce their farm, because I'll push the wave, which pushes the wave into their tower, and then I can get the camps that are how to put it.
Yeah,
the camp that would be not available to me otherwise, if you see what I mean.
Easy roll for this. Waves. Empty lanes before farming jungle.
Okay.
Right, and the reasoning behind this is pretty simple. Like you said, yes, it might in the short term be a bit more gold to get some camps. And even when I'm live coaching people, it happens pretty often. Like, I tell them, like, okay, empty wave, go push it, and then they're like, stop. Let me just stop for a camp or two. Like, no, man, fuck the camps. Because the camps will always be there.
It's such a hard thing to undo, because we're thinking, let's be efficient, right? Like, let's not run there without farming this on the way. But I know it's wrong. I've been thinking about that quite a lot recently, but it's a really hard habit to break.
Yeah, it's just based on false reasoning, because like the camps are always there, so you assume the wave is always going to be there as well, but it won't, right? Yes. If you have like gold up for grabs right now, which may or may not disappear at any moment, and then you have gold that's always going to be there. Of course, you're going to take the risky gold first, right? Which is the wave.
I mean, but also it unlocks more risky gold, right? It unlocks the hard camp to the right of me right now. If that wave is pushed, I can get that.
Separate from that, also it's better for like, you know, your game in the future. It secures more farm in the future, because again, like you said, you get more map
pressure
control.
Objectives. Yeah.
And you're forcing enemy reactions, which will allow you to.
Okay, so pause for a second. There's a couple of choices out here. This is an interesting point. So I've got ult right now. So if I wanted to, I could probably push this tower with my ult. That's option 1. Option 2 is farm the jungle and then take the next wave top, which also pressures the tower. Option 3 is react to what's going on mid. So what do you decision think? Well, okay, that's a good question. So this comes back to what we were saying earlier about like I think that in a pro level game they would already be mid right now and defending this, because the other carry would also be there, pressing their advantage. In terms of what I should be doing, I think it's probably an unnecessary risk to go mid. The safest play is probably to okay, let's think about this. I don't think anyone on their team can actually particularly stop me from taking that tower, so I could have done that, but my instinct here, as you see what I've just done, is to take the hard camp and then take the next creep wave top and use that to pressure the tower top. It's like a safe way of like soft pushing.
You mean like not committing to the tower, but letting the creep
exactly. Not committing to the tower, but taking the creep waves around it, so that I want the enemy to react to top without like putting my body on the line. You know what I mean?
Okay. Now I think.
Questions there.
I think first of all, like, you got to work with the maximum amount of information we have. What that means is, like, and this is part of the camera control aspect actually.
Yeah. I need to be looking mid earlier in this situation.
Yeah, like imagine what you're aiming for is the AI, right? Like, because AI knows everything that happens in vision, even if like it appears in vision for half a second. Like they know exactly every single hero, what level, items, HP, mana, everything.
Yeah.
In a split second. That's what you're aiming for, right? You're never gonna get there, obviously, because fucking computer. But that's your goal, all right? So as you're clicking this camp, you could move your camera now. And what do we see? We see full everything Bane, low HP mana Jakiro, low mana Weaver is under Sentry, and a dead Invoker. Okay, what is the risk? Like, what's the chance that you die going for this tower? 0. Who's gonna kill you?
All right. No one. Okay. Like, I think the only way I could possibly die is if he doesn't have it. But I was gonna say Jug Omni might be a threat on me here, because if Bane tries TP, I'm gonna see it, right? It's gonna be obvious to me. He can't do that without me seeing it.
I mean, Jug Omni doesn't kill you though. Like, maybe if you went Mask Commanders build, even then, like, as long as you have Warcry up,
Warcry should be fine with the armor. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. In fact, if you're super scared, you can even like Warcry TP out, and then there's absolutely no way.
Yeah.
Because maybe he runs you down with a spin or something, but that's like, if you're full HP, man, like 1500 HP, light armor plus 6.
Yeah.
No.
That's not really a threat. So my threat here is Bane, and he can't do that without me seeing it.
Yeah, because it's in your vision now. If Bane suddenly is like, you're starting the tower and then Bane like walks back into fog, then you're like, probably something is up. Okay, then you walk away, then you go for the camp, etc.
I'll be chopping the trees as well, right? So he can't.
That too, yeah. You can chop the trees.
If I have some time, I can chop those trees, right? And he won't be able to.
Yeah,
TP without
that's
me seeing it.
Yes,
probably.
Always chop these trees. You can't TP without you knowing, and he doesn't have a blink, so you can always like walk away before his TP finishes. So
virtually, I think the answer you're saying that it's the tower.
Yeah, it's definitely the tower, and this is an example of like prioritizing the empty lanes over the jungle.
Yeah, okay.
Because you get an opening, right? The only reason you can do this right now, it's not because you hit your timings or anything. It's just because
it's because they're engaged. They can't stop me.
Yeah. And you're not gonna get.
Would you commit ult for this? Sorry, I know I keep interrupting you. I just got so many questions.
No problems. Of course you would commit. Yeah, why not? Like, what's a better use of the ult? You don't need it to farm Ancients.
Yeah. Okay.
You're not planning to fight anytime soon, so.
Do you like any other? If there was a kill, I'd use my ult to get the kill. So why not use it on the tower? I guess.
I mean, it should be like. Using it for the tower should be way higher priority. Yeah, exactly. Than
I see.
For the kill.
Okay. So in that situation, I should be ulting on the tower and checking that Bane can't stop me.
Yeah, just getting a free tower, and this ensures a lot more time for you to farm safely afterwards, because
I see.
Even if your team loses the fight mid, even if you lose the tower, right? Like, if everybody dies, like, you're not gonna save the tower on your own, right?
Yeah.
If everybody dies, you still want to be doing this because at least you're getting some trade going, right? And preventing them from just taking over the map.
Got you.
And if your team wins the fight without you, then also, like, why did you have to be there, right? Like, then you also want to be doing that.
So I'm about to TP, which is really bad. I know it's bad, so we can just. It's like nothing to say. It's just bad.
Yeah. Don't worry about that.
No, I don't mind. It's just like it's a waste of time to look at it almost, because we already know in a lot of detail why it's a bad decision.
Just gonna write down one more thing here. This one is actually I would rate this line like number 1 in terms of usefulness. Not just for carry, for any role, again, any skill level. Always make the enemy react to you instead of you reacting. Right.
I've seen this. This is good advice. Well, I guess what's really hard as a intermediate player on that one is knowing when the exceptions to that rule are. That's what's really hard. Like,
I mean, fuck the exceptions. Like, why do you need exceptions?
Okay, so if we're saying that, then we're saying we're never going to TP ever to counter gank ever, right? That can't be true, right?
As a Pos1,
there must be situations. As a Pos1.
As a Pos1 especially, right? I mean, you can follow that rule and never counter gank with any role really, but especially as a Pos1, you should.
Let's take an extreme example. They're all 10% HP, 0 mana, no ults on my tower. Surely I should TP there, right? Or is that still?
I mean,
I know it's extreme, but
that's never. Okay, you would do it then, but for a very different reason. You're not doing that to counter gank to save your teammates. You're doing that to get like instant 1k free gold and a bunch of experience, right? That's why you're doing it, and also like for this to be relevant, you need to be like most heroes that can make this guaranteed aren't carries, right? Because
I don't
those
have
are heroes
ability
with
to catch.
mobility, right? Like Ember,
Yeah.
Quap, Buck, right? Like Blink
Bleed
heroes,
Dax,
etc.
that to
Yeah.
work, I guess.
Yeah. Most
Or
carries
Blink.
can guarantee. I guess PA, yeah, PA has a built-in blink as
Or
well.
Void, if it's... Void's quite good at doing it, right?
Potentially, yeah, yeah. However, okay, what is an interesting case though, because I brought up.
Because your ult enables your team to do their job in the
Yeah,
mid
using
game.
ult for that means it's not necessarily a win, right? Because the ult being on cooldown is a huge downside, and if all you got out of it was some extra gold, depends which part of the game it is, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, again, so this is with all these things. Like, what's important is the reason you're doing it.
Yeah.
Right? If the reason is to save a teammate, always a bad idea.
That's not my job as a one.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm on board with that. It's just something that I think, like I get the advice. I get why it makes sense. It's just
Okay,
I guess it's a hard habit to break. That
let me
sometimes I
rephrase
feel
this
like I
then.
need to
Let me
be.
rephrase this.
Go on.
Okay, sure. There are I mean, Dota's a game of exceptions, but
Of course,
if you want to
yeah.
learn this, you have to forget about the exceptions. Okay,
And then learn it the hard way afterwards.
just go
Okay.
full to the other extreme and just never react to anything, and
Okay.
first see how that feels, get used to that, like learn it, make that the habit, and then you can slowly add some exceptions.
So I think that's my general steer right now in terms of my average decision is to do that. Is not to react at the moment. I know I'm about to like break that in a second. But,
Yeah, but you're saying like usually,
generally.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah,
So-
but this is a general rule for actually learning stuff, not just in Dota, but anything really. Like obviously you're looking for some kind of balance, and
Yeah.
it's very difficult to go from you being like swayed to one side and then go straight to the balance, right? Like that
You have
almost
to go
never
to the other
works.
side.
You have to go to the other side,
doing
yeah,
that.
and then you can like readjust.
I see.
Okay, let's
Waste
replay
of
this
time to do
actually.
that.
So let's look at this, like a little trick you can also do sometimes. Like you move the camera here so we can only focus on the minimap, right? So first there's all this action, right, after you do the TP. Okay, Bane died. Okay, now we see Invoker showing bottom a little bit. Jug showing top. This TP is the replay, but we don't see it. Jakiro shows mid. Okay, Bane showing bottom. Weaver showing mid. Yeah, so we know that there's like 2 mid, 2 bottom.
It's safe to go top.
And yeah, only Jugger could potentially be top, so you move here. Okay, however now they're all missing. Okay, Volk shows again.
What am I doing there? That looks like such a bad place to be.
Weavers, yeah. So Bane is a kind of specific hero, which forces you to play a little bit different because of his like ridiculously long setup. Even if they're showing 4, if Bane is missing, that's enough reason for you to be scared because
Because they can get all their TPs in Bane's setup time.
Nightmare Grip, etc. Yeah. Still, I would say like at this moment, like you have a Legion with you. The Jug gets scouted. It's pretty safe. And because they're also actively hitting your tower bottom, like again, just get this fucking tower, right? I mean, okay, now it's gonna die anyway to the catapult wave, but this is an example where you can prioritize the wave over the tower, and that could have been a tower last game, by the way, which is not. It's more gold than a
There's a lot
cannon.
of gold.
Yeah. Okay, they catch the Jug. They don't get him. Okay, they do get him. Never mind. Okay, let's replay this. Now you're hitting the tower, in the creeps, and you're watching the fight. Okay, cool. Now let's say this is like it's not certain what's gonna happen here. So you're coming to potentially secure the Jug kill. Now the Jug dies. Okay, what's the status? Some shit went down
The
bottom
only
as
decision
well.
here would be trying to save a teammate. I'm not going to kill a Weaver no matter what I do. So this is a waste of time,
Yes.
I guess.
The only again, running there was okay as long as the reason was to maybe secure the kill on Jug. Even that, honestly, like arguable if that's okay or not. But let's say it's the enemy carry, and it's like you just have to throw 1 stun. It's fairly safe, blah blah. But now that he's dead, there's nothing for you to do here.
Yeah. We're not killing Weaver no matter what I do, and it's not a good use of my time even if we could kill him.
Yeah, so now the play would be to run to the triangle, right? Mid is taken.
Okay.
2 other guys just killed your support bottom.
Okay.
and they're probably gonna be moving to a new place soon. And yeah, the reason I would say like run to the triangle is because you could run like this. They like the other two are gonna go either top or mid, right? Because both lanes are being pressured.
I was about to say, yeah, what about mids? But I guess it's still not my job to be doing that right now.
If they all TP top and start killing these guys,
Yeah.
then you could swing to mid and like try to get it quickly with ulti.
Okay. Okay.
But if they're already TP, because it's already pushed, so if they TP mid to defend, then you shouldn't be there.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah, just running around dodging them pretty much.
Yeah, it's a waste of my time.
And
we kill him, but that shouldn't have worked, and this is still a waste of my time, I guess.
yeah, so you end up taking this fight. Now, also once again, this is a reactive fight. I know your teammates forced it.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
But
it's so obvious watching it, isn't it? Yeah.
You're reacting to what your teammates did. Yeah. Now, I'm gonna add one more rule here.
Do not react to your teammates.
No, that'll be the same thing. No, the only reason to get a hero kill is what? Fill in the blank.
If it furthers what the first 3 items on that list, if it makes me farm as possible, if it means I don't die, and if it lets me take objectives. I guess.
When. I mean, okay, yes, you're right. It's more like I would say the first 2 are like so situation extreme. It's pretty much always the third one, all right?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I mean, obviously, like, you're not gonna let somebody kill you just because you're not supposed to kill them, right? Like, that's...
Yeah.
And I can't think of a situation where killing somebody makes you farm as fast as possible, because most of the time, going for a kill makes you lose farm, because it takes a lot more commitment, and you get way less gold out of it than you would for creeps.
Got you. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. So, and this perfectly complements the previous one, this one, because if you are reacting to a fight, right, chances are...
Yep.
First of all, okay, this one is a bad example, let's say, but the one... actually, we'll find one more later on for that example, but in this case, like, if you're reacting to a fight, it already started, which means your teammates are already low. In this case, some are dead. So with Shadow Demon being dead, CM being close to dead, Legion being less than half HP, even if you win this fight, what are the chances you're getting an objective out of it afterwards? They're very low.
That's a good question.
Because your teammates are dead, like half of them.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way that we can take this tower. I've got the damage for it, but it's not going to be safe with the teammates dead.
Yeah, especially if you're factoring like potential buybacks and stuff, right? Like,
yeah.
So...
Waste of time.
Yeah, it's not only a waste of time, it's a pretty big risk too.
Yeah, unnecessary risk, yeah.
Actually, Bane gets his grip cancelled by the Invoker Tornado, so that would help you, but you end up dying anyway, yeah.
But this death was from the previous decision to even be there, which is just the wrong one.
Yeah, exactly. And
I see that.
And it's a decision based, like, important here to realize you didn't get outplayed, you didn't get ganked, you didn't get found or anything.
Just the wrong decision.
No,
I can see it. I can see it now. It's really... It's pretty funny. Like, you know, you watch a lot of Dota. It's kind of obvious in retrospect. It's just hard in the moment.
You know how it goes.
Well, not necessarily obvious, right? I mean, I had a lot of points there that you kind of.
Everybody's 10k MR when they are watching replays.
Yeah,
because you have all the time in the world, right? But
and because you know immediately whether the decision was a right one in a replay. You immediately see the effects of your decision.
On that note, actually, something that that's why I like to say stuff before it happens, because. A lot of times, like, okay, in this case, I ended up being right, you died, but a lot of times I say it,
I got a couple of kills, but
and then you get like a triple kill and you're fine, right? And then it looks good.
I see it.
That's why it's important to make this judgment before the situation, because you can't base like whether it was right or not on like whether you lived or not, or you got kills or not, right? Because sometimes you'll outplay them, it's gonna work, sometimes you won't. But the point is, if there's any risk at all, that's what makes it wrong, not the outcome.
Yeah.
Alright, even if you killed everybody, like, that wouldn't make the decision right. That would just mean that, they played badly, let's say. Which they did, by the way. I mean, like, this guy cancelled his teammate's ultimate, like... Alright. He tornadoed during the grip, and that cancelled the grip, so... Like, that kind of stuff, like, let's say that allowed you to survive and kill them, like, is that something you feel good about? No, it's just enemies being stupid.
Yeah, I see.
So yeah, here they're all top. You don't necessarily want to be bottom, but because they're all top, you were there. Now you run to mid. This is fine.
Um, can I ask an item question here? So again, I know you're mentioning it. It's a really good one, by the way. I think about it quite a lot. You know, what does this item do that I can't do without? Great thinking. In this situation, I feel like it's quite a hard choice. I'm torn quite a few ways here. So I want a defensive item so I can feel like I can, you know, actually help my team in fights. Okay, no, wrong thinking. So I can actually take objectives. I need a defensive item to be able to do that. BKB feels really important because of Jakiro and Invoker, particularly Invoker. But then it doesn't help me against Jargon, it does not help me against Bane, more importantly. So maybe Lincoln's is good, maybe Ags is good, so I get the kill pressure. Well, you're probably going to ask me some questions to work out the answer, but would you would you agree that Ags is the right choice overall here?
I think Ags looks pretty good. Why do you think I say that?
That's about to ask you. Because okay, so
what can you do with Ags that you cannot do without?
Well, with the Ags,
can jump.
it becomes a lot harder for Bane, Jakiro, and Invoker to play the game. And it also means I can actually have kill threat on Weaver as well, actually.
Yeah, but don't because you're phrasing it like it's hard for the enemy team. No, but like phrase it like, what can you do with this Ags?
I can destroy the Bane's life. He's not going to have fun.
You can, yeah, but so this is where important. Like the answer to these questions, you gotta phrase it in the right way. Like, for example, you know. Let's say you're buying a tank item. Like, I become more tanky is not a reason, right? It needs to be
able to tank a specific thing.
Tank enough, exactly, to tank something. And in this case, I become more mobile, right? Or I can jump. That's not a good reason either, right? It means I can, you know, kill the Bane before you use any spells, for example, or the Invoker.
Yes. Well, I don't think I'm not gonna have enough damage to kill an Invoker before he uses any spells.
Yeah, so okay, that's yeah, because he actually went for a kind of a tanky build. Again, that's very clear distinction. Then you realize, okay, I'm not buying it for the Invoker and the Weaver and the Bane. I'm buying it for the Bane.
I think it's quite rare that I don't know. I feel like 9 times out of 10, an Invoker will have a defensive item. Not necessarily, you know, these like this is obviously quite defensive, but it's likely they're gonna have a BKB or a Yules or something. I guess Yules is irrelevant because I'm a Sven.
Well, a lot of things are actually. It's not that easy to itemize against this, and I think
or Blink maybe is a good choice as well for him.
He has to, like, if he really itemizes for the way to not get insta-killed by every time, like it involves. Well, Blink is, you know, okay, but then he needs to play careful not to get it cancelled. There's a lot of cancels here. Ember with Maelstrom. Shivas is probably the most reliable, but that limits his aggressive potential. Right?
Aggressive play, yeah.
Okay. I think it's quite common, not right now, but later, like 1 or 2 items later, you're gonna reach a point where you can reliably insta-kill him in the stun.
I guess my kind of what I want to itemize towards here then is blow up the Bane because otherwise anyway he's just gonna ult me and stop me whatever else I'm doing. So it's gonna be Ags BKB is probably the play here, and just my first target is almost always Bane unless he has used his ult, in which case I'm freer to do something else.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. And see, like that's by asking this, you also immediately answer like, who do I target in the fight with this Ags?
Yeah, so that's something I want to talk to you about generally. I mean, this has been really useful already. Don't get me wrong, but one of the things that I know I'm doing badly at the moment is like mid game and mid and late game decision making. And I think a lot of that is obviously as of one, I am a lot of our team's net worth, so it's really important that I leverage that strength properly. And I don't think I do a lot of the time. I think sometimes I panic and I make the wrong decision because I panicked, and sometimes it's because I just don't know what I should be doing. Like there's like conflicting priorities, which is obviously why Dota's a good and hard game. So in this situation, there's lots of options here, and then we just identified it because I can't do anything else because Bane's going to stop me probably. But it's hard sometimes to work out what I should be doing, like what my job is in fights.
Okay, so again, like that's
that's quite a big question.
I can't tell you a specific answer without saying a specific situation, right? But what I can tell you is this, all right? So as a general rule, which is useful, and again, with the goal being, you know, improving in the long run. If you're not sure about the decision, like, well, what your timing is, who to focus in fights, what build to go for, etc. Pick one and commit to it fully, otherwise you won't learn anything. All right, so the classic mistake here, people like they get uncertain about something, and then it's like they kind of half-ass 2 or 3 different things.
Got you.
And the problem with that is that win or lose, you don't learn anything from it, right? In order to learn this stuff, you need to actually be committed to a choice. You need to be confident in it, and you need to accept that like you might be wrong and you might lose, but the good part is then you'll be able to learn from that, right? So like let's say it's a different game, or like let's say we didn't figure this out with the Bane, right? Like let's say it's an unclear case. Okay, do I focus the Bane or the Invoker or the Jakiro, right? I'm not sure. Okay, now you can try a bit of everything and then be like, well, okay, we lost. Well, one fight I focused the Bane, one fight I focused the Jakiro. Some of them we lost or won, but also some other stuff happened. So right, like it's very hard to draw a conclusion from that. But if you commit and you're like, you know what, Jakiro is the problem. I'm gonna focus Jakiro every single time, and you do it successfully, and then you lose, then you can learn from that, right? You're like, okay, my plan was to focus Jakiro. I accomplished it, and we still lost. So maybe it was a bad plan, right? Maybe next time I'll try the Bane.
Yeah, got you.
And that's not something you can learn if you don't commit to a decision. Right? So basically, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to make the wrong choice, but you have to make a choice. Otherwise, the game is worthless in terms of learning from it.
Understood.
All right. Sorry to cut off because we're already, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're up for this, what I might do is, well, if you're free and you want to, I'd like to do another hour.
Yeah, because we're already at an hour and 20
should
actually.
We take should we take like a 10-minute break and then do that if you're up for that?
Yeah, if you want to do a break, if you could, quickly suggest like for first available time on Gamer Sensei another one, and then we'll just continue like in 5 or 10.
What do you mean by next available time?
On Gamer Sensei, if you can.
You mean like book again now? You mean? I mean, it doesn't matter, right? I can just do. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Book it for the next immediate slot so that it's done. Yeah. Okay. I got you.
Yeah, we take a quick break and we can just finish the 2 hours. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. Be right back.
See you in a bit. BRB.
Hey, I'm here.
All right, I'm back. Let's continue.
Would you think doing like a watching live coaching thing, would that be a good idea? You think?
Normally, yeah, but right now, because I just added you, like it bugs out. Like you need to be friends on Steam, right, to spectate live.
Oh, really?
Unfortunately, if you just add someone, it still says you're not friends, right? I think like 24 hours need to pass. So yeah, that's my bad. I could have added you earlier because I saw you added me, but generally since the first lesson is just replay analysis anyway, most of the time, that's why.
Okay.
But yeah, we could definitely do that for next time if you like.
Okay.
If you wanna move on from this replay, we can also talk a bit more like general builds. You know what happened, right? If it's worth checking out the rest.
Let's go back to this game. Where's your screen gone?
Let me reshare that.
I think we're good. So I don't want to continue, but what I would ask on items though. So I think we just discussed going Ags BKB to help me take out the Bane in the fights. After that, I think I got some choices. I think items that make me better at doing that, like crit is probably good for the burst. AC is good for damage and also reduces jugs damage, which is nice, I guess. Another choice is Shadow Blade, Silver Edge, not for the break, but for the it means that it's hard for Jog to kill me on his own, especially when he's slot starved later. Like, do you have any particular thoughts on this particular game, on what items would be good later on?
Okay, so you're saying Shadow Blade to keep you safe from Jug. I don't think that's good enough reason for it, to be honest. Like, it helps, but like Sven's weakness definitely is armor in the late game. That's why, like, for example, PA matches up pretty well. And looking at it like this, with this 6 slot, 0 armor items.
Zero armor items.
There's the Weaver and a Jug. Like, that's gonna be a problem. Right? You literally cannot do anything without Warcry in the later on, and Warcry is not reliable enough. It's short duration, like low uptime. It can get dispelled. It can a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I think just counting on the Surge is not enough, especially. Yeah, there's already enough frontline on your team to
Okay.
to make up for that. Uh, so AC would be good. Just like
Hmm.
AC would be good. I think the Orchid is a great idea because, like we said, these heroes are, issues for you. And in fact, Orchid is another way to deal. It could even be a way to deal with the Bane, right? When you have Orchid, if you're able to silence the Bane, you don't have to jump him because
He didn't buy Manta either on Jug.
5 seconds.
I wasn't really relying on that, but he
Ah,
was
yeah,
able to
he
buy
has no
Manta.
mana. Yeah, so yeah, it's pretty good against Jug as well. Invoker also, no way of
Yeah.
removing it, and like taking these, Orchiding an Invoker, it's kind of like halberding a Medusa, right? It's
Yeah, that's
take him
right.
out of the fight for 5 seconds. It's a big deal. Yeah, I'm definitely a big fan of the Orchid, especially because generally you need mana regen with to go with the Axe with the lower cooldown. You need some mana regen to make use of that.
Hmm.
Let's see how your inventory looks. So I think fitting an AC there would not be bad as well.
Yeah, that's the wrong choice.
Interesting thing with Sven is like you have a lot of ways to like a lot of items to disassemble and to build into each other. Right?
Yeah.
Like, all
Yeah.
three of these use the Ogre Club. Yeah, so potentially what you could consider is if you know in advance like you're not gonna go for Silver Edge.
Yeah, I could split that into BKB and make Orchid and BKB faster. for
Exactly.
example.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you keep the with the
Yeah.
mom you can. I guess the
Okay.
quarterstaff from mom will not be that useful. Actually, you could split that as well. Then you have almost a full Orchid right away, right? But then you're gonna have a little bit of period where your build is weird. But I think for a full build, yeah, you're looking at BKB Eggs, Orchid, and I think AC is definitely just to get the pass up here. Because you
Yep.
don't really have that many options for arm items on Sven, right? Like it's AC or Abyssal to an extent would help, which also wouldn't be a bad choice against Jug. It's a bit like Abyssal, it's significantly lower on the damage, especially for the cost. It's insanely expensive and it gives very little damage. But it will give you a stun through immunity for the Jug. It gives you more ways to jump, and the damage block it's okay at protecting you against right click. It's still nowhere near as good as armor, obviously, but it's something. Tanks you up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we have AC. Don't think Scad is worth it, or give some armor. I guess the Nullifier is the other option for armor, but there's nothing to really nullify. Plus, you have your talent already. Yeah, I would not recommend. I think few games are like good dataless games because dataless like doesn't really. The only thing it adds is more damage, right? And again, for that to be worth it, you need to have specific heroes that like. Without dataless, you can't kill them in the stun. With dataless, you can kill them in the stun.
I'm thinking things like Void for Daedalus.
Maybe, yeah, but it's even then it's a toss up.
Okay.
I would say it's obviously if there's a hero that item is good on, it's Sven for sure, and there are games where it's good. But like this game, for example, if Evoker has no huge armor items, then you don't need Daedalus to kill him. And if he has he did actually go Shivas, like what I mentioned. If he has Shivas, you're not bursting him even with Daedalus, so yeah, it becomes pointless at that stage.
Okay.
And he also actually what's really good against Sven is evasion because you don't like to buy MKB, so you gotta be on the lookout for that. But yeah, neither of these guys actually bought evasion, which is interesting.
Yep.
Still, I would say your progression kind of fell off though, so it's not necessarily about item choices here, but more like net worth. Yeah, okay, so you should not be behind the net worth as a Sven, right? Especially Sven Jug matchup.
Yeah.
You're kind of even-ish. So I'll say that's the bigger problem, not necessarily the choices themselves. Because if you want these items and then also had AC on top of that, and you had all that a couple of minutes sooner, then you probably could still be fine.
Yep. Gotcha. Okay. Should we jump into a different game?
Sure. I mean, do you have? Oh yeah, I think I saw your daughter buff is not enabled, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, to hide.
What do we have? So I guess the Spectre game would be good because that's a hero that I play a lot. I guess should probably be a loss and a long loss, I guess.
I mean, it doesn't
And
have to
one
be
that
a loss
wasn't just
necessarily, but
silly.
see 46, 45, 40, 40.
Let me see your screen.
This one maybe.
So I
Can't be too
Brood.
old though, because I might not be able to. Actually, this one I might not be able to download. Let's first see if I can download it at all. Nope.
Okay. There's one.
I'm guessing this one 35 minutes, not that short.
Sorry, I keep tabbing back into the game. What's that one against? That was silly. Yeah, I play baddie and my team carry me. Techies was a smurf. That wasn't particularly necessary though. I don't think that's a particularly interesting one, really.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
This one, 29th. 38 minutes. Let's see.
that looks like a win. Is that a win?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah.
Radiant one. Oh. No, Dare one. Sorry, I didn't see it.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Don't know if that one's that useful. How about? How far back do they go?
It's like about a week.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, 26 didn't work, so. 20.
Go for a win, I guess. I don't really mind. It doesn't really matter that much. I mean, the same things are going to be applicable to all of these things.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see this one. It's a win.
I don't really mind. Any is fine for me. Any is fine.
Yeah, this one looks interesting.
Yeah, let's go for it. Not sure if I agree with my decision to get Radiance in retrospect, but there we are. I'm not sure why I did that.
I
guess Manta doesn't feel great against that team, to be fair.
So
But, I mean, it's kind of mandatory on Spectre, almost.
I mean, there's no there's no 6 slot without Manta when it comes to Spectre, just because the illusions are so good. It's basically Radiance versus Diffusal, right? It's generally the choice, and the heroes that Radiance is not so good against, usually Diffusal is, and the other way
Radiance
around.
versus Diffusal, you think? Interesting.
Yeah, I would say.
For me, it's Radiance or Diffusal or Manta as the first item.
Yeah, I'm not talking necessarily like first item, just like what the main item is, right? Because if you get like, you're always gonna get Manta, you're always gonna get Skadi most likely.
Yeah.
Or Abyss or whatever is needed. Like, those are like follow-up items that you're always getting, but it's like the main key like difference item.
So I don't think Diffusal is very good here. There's no good situations for Diffusal, in my opinion. It doesn't enable me to kill anyone particularly that I wouldn't be able to kill before. There's no like Slark or Void or Anti-Mage to punish with Diffusal, or like tanks that don't like being mana burnt. To me.
I mean, I'll say Doom fits that.
You think? I feel like Doom just presses R and then he doesn't really care that much about being out of mana.
Okay, but who does he press R on if you're, jumping in with illusions? That's the thing. Like,
You think so? What? So like a play could be Diffusal, ult, get on him, burn his mana before he can ult. You thinking?
I mean, you don't necessarily have to target him, but like if you do, yeah.
Okay.
It's not so much about.
I wouldn't have thought about that. It's interesting.
Well, I mean, yeah, the Diffusal is it's very strong, right? Like, I mean, because what else is your play, right? Like, if you're you
So
can't,
I don't think
like you can't kill the Sven or the SF first anyway, not during their BKBs. Right, so it's about which item makes you stronger against supports. And pretty much the only other option is if you're not going like, Radiance, if you're not going Diffusal into Manta, then the only option is like Manta into Skadi, basically.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad build, particularly because of SF. Like, the Skadi, the key thing here is you gotta think about, is there a ranged enemy core, right?
Yeah.
And there's an SF, so...
Or something that relies heavily on lifesteal.
Yeah,
right?
but even if there is, like, it's not necessarily worth it. Like, against lifestealer, like, Skadi does not counter lifestealer, right? By any means. It's okay, but it's not a counter.
Yeah.
But if it's like morphling, it's a huge counter because not only because the strength morph, but also his range.
Yeah.
So I would say the slow is a much bigger deal than the region shift, because basically the difference between 25 and 50, it's like 25 is like annoying, but you pop phase boots and it's gone, and 50 is like you can't move.
Yeah, you're not getting away from that.
Yeah, and it's BKB piercing too. So
yeah.
Okay, let's see if this replay is available. It should be. Just 2 days.
Cool.
2 days ago, yeah. Yeah, it's just an extremely slow download.
Okay.
I don't know why.
So laning stage here, we're going to probably be against Quap Doom, I guess. It's a 5 Magnus, maybe. Probably. Well, maybe it's 5 Quap. It's 5 Magnus or Quap. Okay, it looks like it's actually a Quap from what it says there. So, Magnus Doom against me.
Yeah, double
so that's
melee.
the kind of lane where I'd be more likely to get a Wraith Band in, thinking that I'm going to be in lots of trades. Possibly incorrectly.
You did go double ring for sustain, and you rushed the chainmail for the blade mail. Now the blade mail,
it's not good against any of the heroes.
It's an interesting one.
I think give it as a farming item.
As a farming item, yeah, it's very popular. Spectre, I see it pretty much. A lot of pro players also doing it every single game. I think it's okay. Like it's not bad, but it's not something to just blindly get every single game, which is what people are doing. And we can kind of see, because basically the increase in farming speed, like yes, it increases farming speed, but you have to think like by how much, and like how much compared to other items. Now, like what are the alternatives like around the same price range? Okay, we got Mask of Madness. Okay, that's not so great on Spectre.
Not great on Spectre, but it's an option in general.
You don't turn it into anything. Yeah.
Spectre, I think it's it's kind of very common nowadays. For a while, obviously, it was Necro. That's not a thing anymore. Was Helm of the Dom for a while, not really a thing anymore.
Yep, also nerfed.
Is okay. It's, I guess, pretty situational nowadays. Be good against.
Well, it's not really the same thing. It's very strong, but it's not exactly a farming item, right? Like, it's more like an active item. You need charges, you need kills for that to work.
Okay.
So it's not a farming item.
Drums is I guess the next one.
No. It's garbage for farming. How does it help you farm? 4 to all stats. Like a raid band is better than drums. How does drums help you farm?
I guess you're right.
It's 4 stats, man. I mean, Earn gives the same mana and it gives
mana
2
regen,
stats.
which isn't really much. That's a good point. Okay.
No.
What other options do you have then? I guess you go straight into Manta, or I mean, Midas is an option, but I don't like doing it on Spectre.
No, and here's the thing. I mean, Midas is one that like is Midas, and there's one more. Midas, like think about it. Like, what actually helps you farm more, Midas or Blade Mail? I think pretty safe to say it's the Midas, and it's this thing where like I think it's a bit of a bait also back from when Blade Mail gave really useful stats. If you compare the stats, like the only like quote unquote defensive use of the Blade Mail, if the this is all assuming that the active is not good. If the active is really good, like let's say you're against Leshrac and stuff, then it's a different story, right? Because then you have extra reason to buy. I get that,
because then you got utility as well from the farming.
Yeah, but
okay, that's a good point.
But if the active is pointless, right? Spectre illusions don't benefit from right click damage, but they do benefit from attack speed, right? And 28 damage and 40 attack. I mean, 40 attack speed is just straight up better. And 6 armor, like Spectre's weakness is not, lack of armor, right? So it's not like I got this early value armor item, now I can play more aggressive or like be more survivable. I don't think that's really ever the case. Maybe against like some heavy, like I don't know, like Klink's Nature's Prophet Bristleback kind of team or some shit. But even then, I don't see 6 armor making the difference. Considering like again a raid band would give you like
okay, that's interesting.
2 or 3.
So my problem with Wraith Band is it feels like it's slowing down another item that would help you farm faster.
Yeah,
so you had the same reasons for the Brace in the previous game. But I get what you're saying in terms of comparing the item utility versus the cost. I get that.
Yeah, and the farming. And the last option...
In terms of Midas, go on, last option. I guess it's Mjolnir or Battle Fury.
No, Meteor Hammer.
Oh, Meteor Hammer. Oh yeah, that was good for a while. I haven't tried that in a while actually.
Yeah,
I did quite like that.
It's still good. I mean, the stats are way better than all the others. Like 8 all stats.
I do like Meteor Hammer.
Health and mana regen is amazing, right?
And it means you can actually do things to towers, which Spectre cannot do without, which is quite nice.
Exactly, yeah. So this one is very, very stable, and I think this one
It's definitely
is.
underrated.
If you're gonna rush something like every single game, like people are doing with Blade Mail, I think it makes a lot more sense with Meteor Hammer because, well, there are towers every game, obviously, and you will be able to use all the towers every game.
Yeah, Meter Hammer is always it
Unlike the
always has a
Blade
build
Mail.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me make the case for Blade Mail a bit. So okay, Meter Hammer actually is kind of a harder comparison. That's a really good point, I guess. In terms of Midas versus Blade Mail, the problem with Midas, I think, is A, it's super greedy, and B, the build-up is kind of terrible.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a good point. The build-up is way, way worse than Blade Mail, that's for sure.
And one thing you can do with Blade Mail that you cannot do with Midas, in my opinion, is farm Ancients. Like, that's not a thing on Midas for Spectre, not early on anyway. Whereas Blade Mail, as soon as you got Blade Mail, you can do Ancients suddenly, which is a difference. Meteor Hammer is a really good comparison, though. I did that for a while. I did really like it. The reason I went away from it... Why did I go away from it? I guess the reason I went away from it is pretty soon. It didn't feel that useful. How to put it? Blade Mail felt more useful 30 to 40 minutes in, and I know it's got problems 30 to 40 minutes in against heroes of BKB, amongst other things, than Meteor Hammer did. I suppose that's not really true, given it's always going to be useful against towers and objectives.
Yeah, I mean, again, Blade Mail's usefulness late game purely depends on the enemy heroes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I don't think it's
I see what you're saying.
like how many situations is Sven jumping you without BKB, but also where the Blade Mail will make him scared, right? So he doesn't actually have backup.
Blade Mail's not good here. I mean, the one thing Blade Mail is it's not very good here. It's
for SFO.
Well, he's probably going to BKB for that, but it's quite nice being able to press that sort of button when Magnus jumps. It's quite nice. Like, if it feels bad as an enemy to plow damage into me in Magnus ult when I've got Blade Mail up, that doesn't feel great for them. It's not very good, but it's like it feels a bit better.
Yeah, but still, it's like you gotta think also who's applying this damage, right? Because for example, Queen of Pain ult, it's a pure. You're reflecting. Pretty sure you reflect pure also. And that's really cool, but that's support Queen of Pain, like, which she doesn't care at all if she takes some damage by casting.
Yeah.
Doesn't care if she dies even from that. Like, it's about killing you. Yeah, that's why I mentioned like this Leshrac as being the top example, because not always gonna go for a fast BKB, and it feels really bad. Like he's just killing himself if he tries to go for you with his ult.
It's a Meteor Hammer. I'll consider that again. I'll give that some more tries. I did quite like it. I mean, obviously you get flame because people don't know what the hell it means and they get confused and sad, but that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I mean, I had that even when it was meta, But I did like it. It's nice, and I also like Meteor Hammer generally because I like being able to do things to towers. And Spectre doesn't do that very well.
Insta kill a creepwave as well. Actually, like you don't have to. Do you know how much damage total the Meteor Hammer does?
It's whatever 300, isn't it? I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe 360 or 400.
Total, it does 690.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, people really underestimate it. It's a Dagon 4 in AoE, right?
Yeah.
Only downside is
it's really good.
It's hard to hit, but if it's about creeps, it's not hard to hit. So,
yeah,
like a single cast will kill a creep wave from full HP until like what 30-40 minutes into the game.
Yeah. No, it's very good.
And
it lets Spectre do stacks and gives a mana regen, which he really, really wants. That's one of the problems with the Blade Mail build, actually, is mana regen.
It tanks you up significantly more than Blade Mail does, right? 8 strength and a bunch of health regen is way better than 6 armor.
Most things, right? I mean, not okay. Let's take an extreme example. Drow on the enemy team, I probably want Blade Mail, right? For the static armor, I mean.
Okay, so yes, mechanics-wise, it's good against Drow, but again, realistically, if Drow was in a position to right-click you with her ult active, and like, think about it, like, what situations does that happen in? It's not a team fight, because in a team fight, you will be on top of the Drow with your Haunt.
Okay.
So when is Drow actually right-clicking you, and you can't reach her? Probably
when losing a team fight, when I'm being ganked.
Yeah, probably when you're dying, right? And if that's the case, is 6 armor gonna save you? Like from the ulti procs? I don't think so, because she's not the only one killing you in that scenario. And that's where it's good to to make this distinction. That's what I like to call because there's a lot of things you can have this divide, right? You have this mechanical aspect and the strategic aspect, right? So same thing with Sven. Like mechanically, damage return against the hero with big crits, etc. Like awesome, but realistic.
But it's not good against Sven ever. Really,
Strategically,
think,
yeah,
because
he's never
gonna
gonna hit
BKB.
you without BKB. Yeah, so
And later on, when BKB is low charges, he's gonna have Satanic, and then he doesn't care
exactly,
about.
exactly. So
Got it.
this is the distinction between like,
Yeah.
on paper and what actually happens in reality, right?
I
Like,
definitely don't think Blade Mail is good against their heroes this game for me.
Yeah.
It's definitely only built as a farming item in this situation. Could have been a meteor hammer.
yeah. I mean,
you
here
think-
as,
do you think
as measuring it as a farming item is a bit difficult because you
I
can't
was
really
about
say
to
like
yeah.
how many creeps did you kill with blade mail that you wouldn't kill without, or like how fast. Like that's pretty hard to measure, right? That's just something you have to try.
Okay. I'll try meteor hammer again. A bit more. I did like it. Are there any particular games when it's particularly good to go meteor hammer? Do you think?
Well, it's particularly good when this is like saying a little bit like relying on teammates, but if you have teammates that can set it up, right?
Okay, like a Treant, for example.
Like a Bane, Treant, Shadow Demon, right? These kind of heroes. Actually, no, very reliable setup. Okay, that's when it's good. If you have stuff like, let's say, okay, you're not gonna have Void if you're playing Spectre, but if you have Winter Wyvern, right? Like these long AoE disables.
Yeah.
Winter Wyvern, Magnus, right? Black Hole, whatever, Lasso, again, Bane Grip. These long disables, especially AoE disables.
Yep. Okay.
With again the Winter Wyvern being super good because it also like stacks them up usually.
So it's more about synergy with my team. I guess meteor hammer isn't really the sort of thing that you can abuse enemy heroes with. In the same way.
Especially not as a carry, right? Not as a carry because
Yeah.
you can do that with other heroes, which I actually really like. And I've theory crafted a lot about this, like heroes with gas range talents. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. I really like meteor hammer. One of my favorite things to do is when I'm playing support. It's like Winter Wyvern from the trees, or Phoenix is another great one, right? Because you can dive and use it. I mean, I really like the item. It's really good. I'm already sold on the item.
Core Shadow Demon is also made. You can solo kill.
Oh yeah.
But
it turns anything into a pusher, which is nice. Okay.
So fast forward lane again.
Would you go straight to meteor hammer or blame or whatever? My farming item in this game. Okay, wand is bad here. There's no reason to get wand. Is Wraith Bands worth it? Do you think? Here.
I think if you are going for this farming build, which you should, because you wanna. Okay, this is where like it's hard to say. You're not never gonna outfarm the Sven. You can definitely outcarry him though.
I still need to be as farmed as I can be to do my job though.
Yeah, so again, safe bet is to go for the farm heavy build, right? Yeah, you could go earn and raid bats and like fight and shit, but that's unreliable. So yeah, if you're rushing the hammer, that's another plus of the hammer. Like has decent components. Crown is not bad. You know, Ring of Health, etc.
Yeah, it does have good components. I do like it. It's good.
Which is, like I said, the main downside of the Midas, right? Because if you are going Midas, you're kind of fucked until you get it.
The other nice thing about meteor hammer is you can take more dangerous farm with it. Even on actually, Spectre's a decent example because you can go in the trees with the dagger and just use it on the wave and they can't even see you.
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't matter how big the wave is, you always instigate it, and you can actually walk away from it.
It's good. Yeah. With Blameo, you have to be in the lane for a bit to do it, and that is obviously riskier.
Yeah, which also factors in when you consider speed. I would take level 2 dagger. I get the idea of like wanting to prioritize dispersion. It's just the level 2 point is key here.
So the only reason I didn't do it is I have no mana and I have no way to get mana until I'm going to hit level 4. That was my thinking here. 9 times out of 10, I maxed the Q first.
So you're out of mana until by the time you got level 3. Okay. No, what I'm pointing out is again you want to be the same thing. Like what can you do with this for each separate point? The big difference between level 1, that's why they nerfed it from 90 to 75, which might seem like a small thing, but
no, it's huge.
It's huge because why is it huge? Because 90 is more than most heroes' attack range by enough of a margin that you can reliably secure range creeps, even with level 1 dagger. 75 is not, because most heroes have like 60 something. This guy actually has 76 damage.
Yeah.
So right now the spell is not any more reliable for securing range creeps than your right click. So what is actually the point of it? And dealing 75 magic damage also, that's not a good harassment tool. So then the question is like, why did you actually use it so many times at level 1?
Badly, probably.
Right, that's why getting it to level 2 is kind of mandatory so that it actually becomes relevant as a tool. And then you can keep it level 2 and max dispersion anyway, right? But that's what I'm saying. There's a big difference between level 1 and 2. And then between
double damage.
2 and the rest, it's like whatever, Alright, so
I'm going greedy, maxing, getting blade mail first.
yeah, it doesn't matter. So we're just
So
fast forwarding.
my thinking here is I don't want to be in the lane when Doom is even near to 6. I want to be in the jungle as soon as possible I can.
Yeah,
As soon as
so
possible,
in that sense, you're doing the right thing.
So I went dispersion level 3 here for that reason.
Which is
I'm going to be hitting jungle soon.
Yeah, and now you just start jungling.
And now I've got blame on the way, and I just leave. So I'm probably going to be jungling to the triangle slowly.
If you are, by the way, farming like this is a very small thing. Maybe you only do it on this camp, but
cut the tree below it.
No, cutting trees is great. No, I'm talking about dispersion mechanics here. You need to
get closer so they take max damage.
You are close enough. The max damage is 300 radius, right? That's close enough. Oh, you need to hit all the creeps equally, keep them all alive for as long as possible.
Okay, yeah. And I don't have to desolate yet, so it's not.
Yeah, even if it, but that's why you should not have desolate because that's slower to do it this way. The longer all the creeps are alive, the more damage you're doing with dispersion.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use my mana.
I'm
gonna use mana on the blade now active, but I should probably using the Q to stack as well actually. And I need to get a bit of clarity here so I can do things at 6 when I want to.
The Q, best use of it is also to shorten your path like massively, right? Instead of walking like this.
Oh yeah, okay, that one.
You walk like this, for example.
Ideally stacking at the same time on that.
And ideally stack also, yeah. And also here again, like this is even more of a mistake because you know the blade mail and dispersion both combine now. Like yeah, this guy's gonna die anyway, and you're wasting a bunch of hits on him.
Got you. Yep. I messed that, that's bad, whatever. Went to mid because stuff's happening bottom.
Yeah.
Should be watching bottom so I can look for a haunt here probably. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, it was a time to ancient stack as well. Here, yeah. So when you're entering, this is actually key thing. Like I don't think about this when I play consciously, but it's a feeling thing. But this is basically the wrong time to enter the triangle. I know you're pushing mid first, which is normal, and sometimes you still have to do it anyway because of other reasons, like pushing mid. But when you enter at 40, right, it means either you like head straight for the ancients to stack them, then from the other two camps, go other camp, whatever, come back to the ancients later. Or you have like this awkward rotation because what happens is you kill this camp and then it's 0-0 and like what are you really doing there? So ideally you want to enter this at about 15 to 20 seconds, depending on your hero, how fast you farm them. For Sven it can be even 30, right? Because Sven is very fast. And you want to make it so that you kill these two camps and then you're just in time to stack the ancients and then you go back to this camp and then you do like another rotation here and then you come back later, stack it again, etc.
Okay.
That's the ideal move, basically.
What should I have done instead here then? Should I have gone to the... I guess the
I think
camp
you could run straight.
River is risky.
You could have daggered the ancients, stacked them, or like ask them when they stack them or whatever. Yeah, or just go back into this part instead.
Okay.
And yeah, this is interesting. This is actually what I want to see because you could kind of do the math here. Because I'm curious about this because a lot of people ask me about Blade and Spectre, and I keep saying like that it's overrated. But I kind of want to see the exact numbers, so we could do the math, right? These.
I mean, doing it against a non-stack isn't really worth it. It's really against a stack.
Yeah, even then, even against the stack though, because the blade mode doesn't really scale off of how many creeps are. Dispersion scales off of how many creeps are. So that's why I want to do the math.
Why doesn't blade mail scale based on how many creeps? Because they all take the damage back, right?
It's individual for all of them. Blade mail doesn't care how many heroes are hitting you. It's a one-on-one every time with the blade mail.
Yeah, okay, so if 30 creeps are hitting me, then 30 creeps are taking more DPS, right?
Okay, no, in that sense, yes, but the thing is, if 30 creeps are hitting you, then they're all taking 30 creeps worth of dispersion,
Yeah.
And that's what actually scales with the number of creeps, so that's why I'm not really convinced that the blade mail is like a huge difference maker here. I would say, if anything more, it's like the armor allows you to tank the ancients better, which, and yeah, obviously makes them die slightly faster.
You may well be right about that, yeah.
But the thing is, like, that's why I want to, even with a single camp, I want to, because this is when the blade mail should be at its best, when we talk about a single camp. Alright, so I want to quickly do the math here. We got 31 times 2, so that's 62. So 144. 22% of that, so let's see. So they're each taking 30,
2 damage.
32 damage per hit, all of them, yeah. And how much are they taken individually? 20 plus 20% from the blade mail, right? So 20% of this is like 16. So when it's a single camp, yeah, then we're talking like it's equal, right? For these guys, actually less. So the small guys are taking more damage from dispersion than they're taking from blade mail. Not counting the active, fair enough. If you count the active, it's slightly more, but even then, like the small guys, if you count the active, they're taking 50 instead of 30 something. And the active is for a very short time. The big guy is taking about 40 without the active and about 100 with the active. But again, the duration is nowhere near long enough for those creeps to actually die from that. So essentially, it's like even in the best case scenario of a single camp, which blade mail is at its best, it does about as much as the dispersion does. And if it's a stack, then the dispersion it does way more, obviously. Because like let's say if it's 2 camps, then this dispersion number is going to be double.
Yeah, I get you. Because
Yeah.
they're all taking damage from everyone attacking him.
Exactly. Which also, why you want to keep them alive. So, I think all things considered, like with the active, you're bursting. Also, the armor helps you tank. So yes, it does help with Ancients. I just think still it's a little bit overrated if we factor in like Meteor Hammer also works on Ancients and it also tanks you up region wise, which is arguably more useful. So it's not.
I wouldn't disagree that it's overrated. I didn't try Meteor Hammer again. I tried other things like straight Yasha, Manta, for example, drums, which we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
I've tried Midas, but I really don't like it. Maybe I should try again. I don't know. It just feels super greedy. It feels like I'm relying on them not punishing me, basically. If I
know, but I feel like that's my gut reaction too. But I feel like it's slightly, it's a slightly biased kind of thing, like in terms of because you're used to Midas being that. But if you think about is blade mail really less greedy than a Midas? Like,
in terms of what I'm doing with it, you're right. Yeah. Well, okay. How? Because
6 armor. That's the only difference, right? 6 armor.
Well, some heroes cannot commit on you if you have blade mail, whereas with Midas they can always commit on you. Like, okay, classic example, Leshrac. Windrunner is a less good example.
Yes. But then
she can stop her attacks.
But there aren't many heroes like that. That's the point.
There aren't many heroes like that. You're right.
And if you're buying blade mail, it needs to be for that reason and not just the de facto farming item, which kind of people.
I also think about if it helps me against the carry. Like against the Sven, I would say it doesn't help me at all. But against PA, like there is a window where it does help because before she gets PKP, she cannot go on me if I have blade mail already.
Fair enough. Yeah, because PA wants to greed with the battlefield.
Same thing with things like Slark and Anti-Mage.
Yeah.
Less so, but a little bit. Like it makes it. They don't want to commit on me as much if I have blade mail, whereas Midas they don't care about at all.
Yeah, fair enough. In that sense, they don't care about the Midas, they do care about that. But need to not forget, like, the main point is like that's the only reason. Yeah, the 6 armor is kind of irrelevant, and Midas has some other advantages, like the attack speed actually buffing your illusions a lot.
And you get a mega XP advantage, which is nice.
And you get more farm, more XP, and the blade mail stats are worthless on it. They don't work on illusions at all, actually. Yeah. Once again, the mechanic wise, like you need to be hitting the big guy first.
Yeah.
Keep the small guys alive. Also, this guy, has the health percentage aura. So.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm not doing that. I must be not thinking in that situation.
I guess you're watching top at this moment, so here decide to haunt in to help with the skill. Now, let me see your perspective before this moment happened. Spirit Breaker's charging him, right? I don't know if you clicked the Doom, like, were you aware of what Doom's items were at this point?
Nope.
Okay, that's very important.
I don't remember, but I don't think I knew.
That's very important because that's a big part of your decision to go there or not. And seeing this right now, I mean, obviously,
that's
again,
damage to kill him probably.
Again, this is a replay thing, right? But no rupture, right? No charges. This guy might get level 6 after popping.
We shouldn't be killing him here. He shouldn't be dying in this situation.
He will get 6, but without rupture, there's no way. And also, remember, what are you contributing to this situation? A level 2 dagger. Okay.
Yep.
That's it. 130 damage to you.
Attacks, they don't really do any damage, but and mostly just a dagger.
Okay, maybe 100 physical damage tops, right, after reductions. This guy's 12 armor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so give or take 200 damage, that's what you're contributing.
Yep.
how likely is it that that's going to be the difference maker, for getting the kill or not getting the kill? Super,
Not super
super,
likely.
super unlikely, I would say.
Mm.
And what is like more like to be the reason you want to go here is to kind of like, back your team up, okay? Like the haunt scouts out the rest, then you have an extra hero there in case they respawn, blah blah. But that all goes against your
What we said before.
your goal as a carry.
What I'm thinking is I want to use haunt. Like it, I want it to be on cooldown, and I want to be involved in a kill on a core. Ideally, one that also presses an objective. I appreciate you probably about to tell me that's the wrong way around. um, I think that I want the XP. I want the XP. Like Horn is such a massive advantage relative to other carries because I can be as greedy as I want with Riot farming and still get the kill participation, golden XP from anywhere, which is nice. So I want to use it.
But okay, but so again, this is why you have to be very clear on why are you using it. You're using it to get yourself ahead, not to help your team, right?
Yes.
You're using it to get ideally just like a plus gold plus XP for no cost, right? I mean, or just mana cost and like some cooldown. Yeah,
exactly. That's what I want to do.
Okay, and
this is not a good risk roll situation because
if that's the goal,
and he can get TPs.
Yeah, it needs to be a specific case, right? Like I can see it happening. Like there's a Queen of Pain support that
SF probably is
or
the
SF
best target here.
Squishy target that has no escape and your dagger is maxed. So like if they're at like 300 health and your dagger does 240, that's pretty safe. That you're gonna get them. And ideally, and this is a important part which I don't think people think enough about. This needs to happen quick enough that you can jump back to your illusion.
Yes.
Unless
that's a good point.
Unless you want to stay there.
Unless I want to be there. Yeah, that's a really good point.
And this is your safe lane. It's the last place you want to be right now.
It's not where I want to be. That's a really good point. I don't think about that enough.
Because it's easy to think like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna haunt over there and then I'm gonna TP back. Okay, but at that point you're losing 90
you're
gold.
Wasting 90 gold.
From the TP.
Yeah, 95 gold.
So
yeah, good point. Good point.
So then you end up top.
This is not really where I want to be.
And now I have to move away again.
Yep.
Yeah. Another, plus for. I mean, we kind of mentioned, but now I'm kind of realizing it to a bigger extent.
Meteor Hammer, I could have done stuff to the tower there. You about to say?
No, not the tower. Meteor Hammer gives you the mana to spam dagger, and spamming dagger not just for the damage, but like I mentioned, the movement between camps.
That's right.
I'm seeing you move like this instead of straight line. Like that's a big deal. Yeah. That's like 5 seconds every single camp.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It really adds up, right? So.
I do like. Yeah, I'll do Meteor Hammer some more. I think I did like it. It's nice.
Yeah, so here goes straight for the Ancients to stack them, so I think it's a better approach. Like you mentioned, like how as you enter the triangle at, like you enter at like 40 or something. Spirit Breaker telling you where to push, interesting. Pressure bottom, there's action top, you can assume that they're all there. Okay, now you...
Oh, this is such a stupid move. I remember this. This was so silly.
Okay, let's see your player perspective here.
No, I did see what I was. I'm pretty sure I looked at it. I had an idea in mind. It was just a bad one. This is such a stupid thing I did here. Oh my god.
Oh, you wanted to reflect the Requiem?
Yes, I did. Which obviously instantly kills me, which is a really stupid idea. And the SF said no matter what I do, I just give. I mean, sure, I get the XP and the gold, but it's just really stupid. There's like nothing to say here. This is just a stupid, bad move.
At least you go strength threads. You try it.
Which I didn't do. I don't think.
Oh, you were right on top of him actually. But
it's also silly.
You didn't even have to die though. Because
I didn't need to because the dispersion could be further away.
And you were full and SF was super low, right? So.
Yeah, this is just stupid. I should have been on Queen of Pain right here and then go back in or whatever, or anything but what I did. That was just silly.
Yeah, that guy was dead regardless. But anyway, that's like a mechanics-wise mistake maybe. But the bigger thing here is
the decision, I guess.
Yeah, this is where it's important to like have this distinction between the types of mistakes. Like you thinking, I'm gonna make this outplay, I fucked up the mechanics, I stood wrong, I clicked the spot, like that's all whatever. So the decision is like you're bottom, splitting a tower while your team is fighting. This is what you want. This is the best case scenario right now. In fact, there's not even a tier 1 mid to take, so it is actually the best possible place for you to be.
Okay.
And you give that up. And there's just, it doesn't matter what the, like, excluding maybe that scenario you said, like, your whole team is dead and they're all literally one hit, so you press haunt and but then you don't even have to haunt there, right? Because, I mean, you don't have to jump there, you can still come back bottom. If they're that low, they just instantly die to your like, one dagger or whatever.
Yep.
There's like just you're doing the right thing and you stop doing the right thing, and it doesn't matter what the other thing that you're doing is because it's not the right thing, right?
Gotcha.
Basically,
Even if that worked, it'd be bad.
even if you got all the kills, like yeah, because what is remember like what is the reason to
Objectives. No.
to get a hero kill? Objectives. Okay, you're already getting the
Or I guess
objective.
stop them from doing objectives, but that's not my job.
No, that's not your job. You're already getting the objective. You're already doing like the outcome, and then you stop taking objectives so you can get a hero kill. It's the other way around, right?
Yeah, that's just bad. I'm being greedy. I'm thinking, oh, I can get the XP and gold.
Yeah, he gets a deny here. And this would be a situation, by the way, where you could give a slight, not really.
Blade Mail
we'll
has
say
an edge
advantage.
because he can't commit on me. You better say.
Yeah, like that you could kind of force him.
Because I hit the tower and pop Blade Mail. What does he do?
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like generally like as you're meeting on the lane, like it doesn't really force him away either. So it's kind of whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I think I would actually favor the hammer again there because it gives you enough mana to just spam dagger at him all day.
And the tower would have been yeah, mine.
The tower would die quicker as well.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't have the deny if I had Blade Mail on that meteor. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's turn this on its head then. But in the first 20 minutes of the game, when should I be using Haunt?
Okay, so yeah, I mean we kind of mentioned it, right?
Have we seen any good opportunities this game so far? Do you think?
Let's see this fight. This time you're not looking at because you don't have Haunt, but
I should still look so I know what they've used.
yeah. Well, I was on free camera. Maybe you were looking at it. I don't know.
My camera control could always be improved, definitely.
Here you ran bottom.
Sometimes I'll be, I mean, it's not really the
Oh
same.
no,
right?
I went back. This is the situation with it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So-
sometimes I'll be watching the minimap and not actually go directly, but that's
So
obviously not-
you could use Haunt here, but it just needs to be like it's not a bad moment in general, but it just needs to be with a different idea and a different plan, right? You should think like let this guy use his Requiem. Like there's gonna be a fight. These guys are gonna be low, and once they're low, I'm gonna come in, throw dagger, get a last hit, and jump back bottom. This is the key part.
Yeah.
So whatever you do needs to happen in less than 5 seconds. I mean, ideally less than 4 seconds to give yourself like a 1 second of wiggle room.
Yeah. That's a good point.
So basically, like, I mean, Bara charge connected. There's still his ulti. There's still Oracle nukes. There's still like Lina's busy killing this Doom, right? There's so much that can happen without you having to be there. This kind of haunt, it would be the right time to haunt if this was like 40 minutes, okay? And you have a bunch of items. You want, in fact, that would be a late haunt if it was that moment. Like, if it's late game, you want to haunt as the charge is about to connect to cancel blink daggers, to scout everybody, to pick your target, give your team room in the fight. That's why also, I mean, it lasts longer, so it's easier to do it like further in advance, etc. But early game, the only point of the haunt is for you to get a free kill without losing anything other than mana.
Or to survive, I guess. Like if I'm being ganked and Haunt saves my life.
Maybe that, yeah. So yeah, just have to be patient here, right? And use it like a couple seconds later, and make sure you just get the assist. And again, key thing that you get back to bottom.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Yep.
Yep. Alright. Okay, I think we're
Probably out of time.
at about 2 hours, yeah. So we could do kind of like a wrap up. I think most points we summarized. Is there anything
Can I ask you a question about heroes, actually? If I can, quickly.
Sure.
In terms of hero pool, the heroes that I'm currently my go-to is Sven and Spectre, which is kind of frustrating because I like them even despite
the flavor.
Yeah. Anyway, so Sven and Spectre, Jug, Slark, less so. Anti-Mage I'm comfortable on, but I rarely play it. I probably should do it more, to be honest. PA I'm comfortable on. Void I'm comfortable on, but I don't particularly like it. Any heroes you think I should be adding to my pool to push? From what I've seen, fewer is generally better, especially because I don't have much time to play that. I think I should probably add an illusion hero, maybe TB or.
Wait, sorry.
Go ahead.
Sven, Spectre, Jug. I'm kind of writing them down now. So.
Luna, Slark, PA, Void.
Slark, PA, Void.
I would say.
So the way to look at we can seriously think like, what matchups are all of these bad against?
Oh, Lifesaver too. What are they bad against? I mean, it seems pretty weak against TB actually. Most of those to me.
Yeah, I would say most. I mean, I guess Void can be okay. Slark can be okay, but he's just kind of weak in general. Yeah, so that's a good one. Like, not very good against TB. None of these
They're
heroes.
all greedy as well, pretty much. Mostly. I mean, Jog's less greedy, but most of those are very greedy.
Well, yeah, okay, they're greedy, but I mean,
But I guess
that's
carries
not
generally by their nature.
it's not the biggest issue. Something else I see, the only, well, yeah, it's Luna's the only ranged, and she's not really ranged, right? So they're all melee.
I mean, I'm comfortable playing Medusa, but he's not very. Doesn't seem very good right now, to be honest.
Medusa, Drow, what's not
I don't
good?
play Drow very much. Maybe I should play Drow more.
Morphling.
I don't think I'm good enough at Morphling. The mechanics are harder for me to.
I think you're
learn to be good.
overrating like the whole mechanics aspect, but whatever. Oh yeah, Clinks, another
I wouldn't
range
even
carry.
consider Clinks, to be honest. Yeah, it's another one. But Troll, I like Troll too.
Also
It
fits
doesn't really
active
count at the range though.
and Troll. Yeah, not really, but yeah. So yeah, potentially add. Or I'm just gonna write down like potential issues, right? So no ranged. So weak versus what heroes do you need? Would you rather be a ranged carry against? What comes to mind?
Phoenix, you want to have a range to the egg.
Phoenix,
What else?
Earthshaker. Of course,
Okay,
some
yeah.
of them like Void and Spectre can jump over it, but and PA also. But like let's say Jugs, Sven, Lifestealer all get super
Yeah.
fucked by Shaker and Clock.
Kiteable carries.
Lock. Enigma can deal with the black hole, right?
Yeah, yep. Tide Hunter as well.
It's also Tide I guess is a good one. Yeah. Also because it depends on your other cores, right? But there's very few ranged offlaners, so generally like your offlaner is always going to be melee, and if you're also always melee, like again this can be a problem. Weak versus TV, right?
Seems like Drow is the answer to both of those problems.
Yeah. Greedy, bad versus high armor. Yeah, Drow can fix that. So what else are you weak against? Let's see, laning stage wise, maybe.
Slardar is good against almost all of those in the laning stage, but that's kind of a bad example because he's good against pretty much everything in the lane.
Yeah, kind of, I mean, he's not so good against ranged heroes, right?
Yeah.
That's thing. So, yeah, we can write that. League of the Slardar. So, heroes to consider adding. I mean, there's a lot more we can talk about here, but this is just to give you like a rough overview. So we said Troll, Drow, Medusa, Lynx. What else?
Usually having TB is a good thing to have as well.
Illusion carries also, yeah. So TB, PL, Naga.
Which would you rather? Okay, Naga's pretty terrible right now, I guess, but between the other two.
I mean, TB is probably the most stable, but
Okay.
yeah, I think you're slightly again overestimating the mechanical aspect. It's not that hard to add several, etc. So
I guess it's more that I don't really have enough. I get like one game a day tops most of the time, so I need to make sure I'm like maximizing my efficiency.
Fair enough. Yes, you want to just pick one and like focus on it. Yeah.
And I want it to be easy so I can focus on the other things. I guess you know what I mean.
Okay, you cannot. This is an important point. You cannot like work on all this and then also learn a new hero at the same time. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
You gotta pick one, right? Like one at a time.
Keep going.
One at a time. Otherwise, it's just gonna get frustrated.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, if you had to pick one, TV is probably the best right now, most likely.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Arc Warden actually. Arc Warden, we didn't forget that. Also ranged carry. Morphling, right? And also has some very unique mechanics. It's definitely super good against all these because clone, the way the clone works, right? They want to commit spells on it. Very good against the TB. because the bubble, and you can
Yeah.
build Mjolnir. You can build magic. You actually have a lot of magic damage as Arc.
Yeah.
Versus Slardar is so. I mean, it's not really good, but I would say he has some advantages compared to others. It's just Arc is a super weak laner regardless. So yeah.
Really, you think so? You think
Yeah, I mean,
Arcs will be cleaner?
especially on the safe lane, that is especially. I mean, on mid as well. Mid is just matchup dependent. On safe lane, for Arc to work, you need you need a specific lane support, like a tanky melee, right? Like
The frontliner.
one of these three, right? Ogre, Undying, or Treant, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So yeah, I think we could call it here. Before we go, gonna link you my coaching Discord. So this is where I have all students, and you can ask me questions there anytime. You can also seek questions by others, right? Also outside of lessons. And then
Thank
what I wrote
you.
to them. I'm gonna give you the student role. You can see on the left there's a your location channel. You can react there with your location and get a flag. Like you see, like some people looking for parties, whatever. Also post a bunch of content. You can see like down on the left again, infographics and stuff.
Nice.
Some VODs, etc. Also, if you could leave me a review on Gamer Sensei, I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, sure thing.
And yeah, I think for the time being, I wouldn't start with a new hero right away. I also try to focus on like the golden rules and in general what you're like making the enemy react. Like I said, like go all out with that. Don't worry about fighting the balance immediately. Just give
Okay.
that a try. Be
Seems
mentally.
like overall,
Mhm.
yeah, focusing on those fundamentals seems like the best thing for me to be doing right now. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. And I want to say, like, mentally be prepared that you might lose a little bit more initially. It's quite common because you are actually trying to change your playstyle, right?
Yeah, understood.
But
That's
it's
fine.
necessary for like a long-term improvement. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks for your time.
All right.
Thanks very
Awesome.
much.
You're welcome. Good luck, and yeah, just message me and let me know how it goes. We'll set a time for next time.
Already. Bye. Thank you.
Have a good one. See ya.